it's not. There we go. Okay. Hello, everybody. So, I'm back talking about Transformers. And this time, we're going to talk about the fourth one. And so, I had to bring on somebody once again to help me. And that is Damenicion Scott. So, how are you doing, man?
Hey, I'm good. How's everything going with you today?
It's going good. So we apparently have a different opinions on this one. And for those that know me, y'all know that whenever I review a bad movie, I rant a lot. So that's what you guys are going to get. But, yeah, because boy, do I have a lot to say about this movie. But first, before we start that, you want to go ahead and share your thoughts on this movie?
Well, first, let me introduce myself. My name
is
Damenicion Scott. If you guys don't know, I have my own YouTube channel right there. If you guys love video games, you love movies, you love physical media collecting, my channel is the right place for you. Please go subscribe to my channel. I have a Facebook and I have an Instagram as well. As usual, Damenicion Scott. All right, so I want to talk about my first experience when this movie was getting released over the summer. The same year I was getting ready to graduate from high school. So I saw the Super Bowl teaser trailer, and I was like, this is going to be darker. This looks cool. And this looks like a sort of reboot, different direction, even though it is still a sequel to Transformers Dark of the Moon. So Optimus Prime has a new design. We have we're gonna have new characters. We're gonna have a new villain, and then there's gonna be new villains as well, either as Transformers or as humans. So I saw the teaser trailer. And I'm like, oh, cool, a new Transformers movie, because I just love the action. I just love the visuals. I just love the score, and I just like some guilty pleasure humor. So I didn't get a chance to go see this in the movie theater, so I had to wait until it came online, and I was watching it for the very first time, and I was like, the first time, this is pretty interesting. Maybe I like it more than Dark of the Moon. I don't know. I didn't know yet at the time, but I was just watching it for the first time, and I was like, this is darker. This is a new direction, new characters, some Autobots, some Autobots still return. Optimus Prime, new look. So as soon as I started getting into following the film industry, and I was wondering, what do people think about this movie? And some of the early movie reviewers I discovered on YouTube, like Jeremy Johns and Chris Stubman, and they weren't a fan of it, calling it crap. Maybe just due to Michael Bay, whatever it is they criticize about Michael Bay.
Mm-hmm.
As for myself, I think it's underrated.
Oh.
And this movie was actually the first Blu-rays I ever bought with my own money at the time. It's an underrated movie. Is it too long? Yes, it is. It is really long. I have rewatched it. Yes, the runtime is really long. But what I do enjoy about this movie is its special effects, its visuals. Mark Wahlberg, he's a fine character. He's a father. He's protective over his daughter, and he meets Optimus Prime because essentially after the events of Dark of the Moon, the remaining Autobots are on the run, trying to hide from this this villain company because they want to kill the Autobots one by one, joining along with a new villain called Lockdown. Hmm. And I think Lockdown was a pretty badass villain. So the movie still retains most of that what you probably expect from these Transformers movies, whether you love them or you hate them, with really good CGI on the Transformers, good action sequences, good transformations, still great score, pretty awesome epic score. And whether you love the human characters or not, they're there. But I think they served a purpose in this movie, joining our remaining Autobots on the run. And even some of them even ended up redeeming themselves too at the end of this movie. And Optimus Prime, he is a freaking badass. He wants to seek revenge for killing one of his fellow Autobots. So overall, I think Transformers: Age of Extinction is an underrated movie. Could have been cut down with runtime, yes, but I still love the action. I still love our Autobots, Optimus Prime. I still love our score, even though it's not Linkin Park at that time around. It's a different score around, but it's still awesome in my opinion. A great villain, which is Lockdown. The villains, the human villains, are pretty intimidating as well. I think both 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 allies and both Autobots are both serving a purpose than maybe what they were previously. Fun action. I like Mark Wahlberg, who lost his wife and is trying to protect his daughter. Now the biggest negative I have about this movie is, like I was saying a few times, is it's kind of too long. So overall, to me, I think this is still an underappreciated Transformers movie. You go ahead.
Well, um, I'm just gonna be flat out honest. I've never liked this movie. Never. I mean, sure, it has good action. The action's better. You don't get Sam anymore. There's no Shia LaBeouf. He's gone. Shia LaBeouf's girlfriend, she's gone. Shia LaBeouf's parents, thank God, are gone. Mark Wahlberg's fine, even though there's scenes where he likes to sip a Bud Light a lot in this movie. But my biggest issue with this movie is just the whole movie. And sure, the runtime, it is long. I do think they could have dialed the runtime down a little bit. Some of the cast is fine. Mark Wahlberg's fine. His daughter, fine. TJ Miller, I did not like TJ Miller. I thought he was pretty annoying. Lockdown's cool. I liked him. Thought he was a good villain. That's pretty much all I have to say. About it.
All right. Let's get back into the positives. What moment actually gave you goosebumps? I'll tell you what mine was. Is actually when Optimus Prime is calling all the Autobots to group up.
I think mine has to be with the fight with the Dinobots. They were cool. Have no idea where they came from. I wish we did get a little explanation as to where they did come from. But this movie is just a negative for me. But anything else you want to mention that I left out?
Yes. There are some plot holes too in this movie. Like we don't know the exact fate of certain characters, such as the Autobots, if they were actually killed before the events of this movie after Dark of the Moon, because certain Autobots like Sideswipe is disappeared. If you remember in Dark of the Moon, the records, actually, one of them was actually killed in some footage shown in this movie, and if you remember, the Autobot Hound actually was really sad to see his death. But I think some of those were actually answered in the next movie. But plot holes to me is what is the fate of some characters that were probably that survived the events of Dark of the Moon. They're nowhere to be found. There's no mention they disappeared.
What are your thoughts on Galvatron being introduced in this movie?
Galvatron was fine. He I guess it didn't make that much sense to go from Galvatron in this movie to back to as Megatron in The Last Night. This Galvatron was nothing like for instance, if you've seen the Generation G1 movie from the 1980s. In that movie, Galvatron was created by Unicron, apparently to heal all the injuries from Megatron from his battle with Optimus Prime in that movie. But in this movie, Galvatron essentially was created by our villains with the consciousness of Megatron inside, not Unicron.
Mm. What did you think of all the new Autobots being introduced in this movie?
Okay, let's talk about the samurai-looking one named Drift. He was cool. And Autobot Hound was it? He was awesome, especially at the beginning of that movie when he was preparing to regroup with our remaining Autobots and our new allies. Oh yeah, there was also another green vehicle Autobot. Pretty cool too. But I just wish that Sideswipe was there, but we don't know where it happened to him. It is unknown what happened to him. That's the biggest plot hole about this movie. We don't know the exact fate of what happened to Sideswipe. There was also another Autobot that disappeared, which was Dino from Dark of the Moon.
Yeah. And I noticed Megatron's nowhere in this movie either. Like, I don't know what happened to him after the events of Dark of the Moon, but that's another plot hole, is Megatron's nowhere in this movie.
Well, you do remember Optimus Prime did kill Megatron at the end of Dark of the Moon, and they took his remains and placed them in Galvatron, who, remember, Optimus Prime sensed the presence of Megatron in that Galvatron. So apparently, that's Galvatron with the mind of Megatron.
So I guess now we'll talk about are there any negatives that you have with this movie?
I just think it's the runtime of this movie. It is really pretty long. The more I think about that. And and the plot and my plot holes, that my personal plot holes too. I can't think of anything else really that bad, but I don't really think this movie is as bad as so many people make it out to be. You know, everybody says the humans are annoying, but I don't really personally have a problem with them. But I understand one negative is if you're a Transformers fan, you just want more focus centered on the Transformers, not the humans. I understand. You know what? I think the the Transformers in this movie had more screen time than Dark of the Moon. I might be wrong, but still, the Transformers they had probably more purpose in this movie than in Dark of the Moon, in my opinion.
Yeah, I will agree that the Autobots do get more to do in this movie. And I do want to see more Transformers movies, but don't focus on the humans so much. Focus on the Transformers. Like Transformers 1, for instance, we got that, where it's just a movie focused on the Transformers. I want more of that. Give us more, like Transformers 1, where it's just the Transformers and no human. And as far as Michael Bay's direction, what are your thoughts on his direction of this movie?
Well, if you like science fiction action, turn your brain off, then that's probably your cup of tea.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, these movies, I've noticed these movies just get worse and worse. But I say it all the time. If you're a fan of these movies, that's fine. I mean, you can like these movies and just have fun with them. But after the first Transformers, I just can't have fun with these movies anymore. I mean, Dark of the Moon is good. It's a big improvement over Revenge of the Fallen, but after Dark of the Moon, these movies just get these movies just get really annoying. Besides Bumblebee. But I guess, do you have anything else to say before we wrap up?
You ready to give your 1 to 10 score?
Oh, I already know what that's gonna be. But I'll let you give your final thoughts on this movie first.
Okay, as a new direction, as a new direction, a summer fun time. The Autobots are on the run. New Autobots, some return. Optimus Prime is awesome. I think our new allies, played by Mark Wahlberg, was a fine add-on to this franchise. It is pretty long. It does have plot holes in my opinion. So I'm just gonna give this movie, for my own entertainment value, an 8 out of 10.
Wow, that's a lot different from mine. I'm gonna be a little nicer on this one than I was with Dark of the Moon, and I'm gonna go a 3 out of 5. I'm being a little nicer to this one than I was with Dark of the Moon, so I'm gonna give this one a 3 out of 5.
Okay, what do you got? Anything else?
I think I've covered everything that needed to be covered.
All right. So let's go ahead and wrap this up, and then we'll do the last night on my channel, and then you want to do a Michael Bay only Transformers ranking on your channel?
Like ranking all of his movies or the Transformer movies?
Just the Transformers ones, the ones directed by Michael Bay.
Yeah, we can do that.
All right, good.
Well, again, thank you for doing these with me. This has been fun, and I can't wait to do the last night.
Got it.
All right, everybody. Well, hope y'all enjoyed this, and please go show some love to Damenicion. I'll put his channel in the description, but if you don't have anything else, I guess we'll be done. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see y'all later.